Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice sunny, actually Tuesday, almost said Sunday, but Tuesday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Many things to talk about today, but it's mostly a preparation for the next day to come as we do have a big event tomorrow. So today, despite all of the clickbait bullshit that probably exists around this land, I actually don't expect too much to be happening unless if it's in the short and medium term timeframes. But realistically, we're going to be following up on this nice thread of analysis that we've been going off of for I guess over 2 months now, probably around 2.5 months now. And I do believe that we are going to be looking at it likely coming to fruition based off of tomorrow's FOMC meeting. Now, it's actually not the FOMC meeting that is going to be the big one. I think the general consensus is that there's going to be a 50 base point rate hike. However, it's what happens after that really does matter. The conference call, where essentially they kind of give a bit of an insight as to what they're thinking about in the future. That has potential to really change things. And I do expect that we're going to see a lot of volatility around that. So with that in mind, I want to now once again let you know that the Trading Journal feature within the Krown Trading application has been updated. You can find it in the link in the description below. It is also free for the base functionality. If you want to have multiple journals and you want to have a shit ton of different recorded trades, then premium is going to be the right way to go for that, and gives you access to a bunch of other things as well. But for right now, very, very happy with it and how it's coming along. And there is a lot more that's going to be coming along soon. Alongside it soon. So I'm very, very excited about this. And other than that, I should humbly request that if you do find this content valuable, or if you just want to get back in a nice and free way, the best way to do that is to simply like the video. You can always dislike the video after it if you so desire. Anyways, other than that, I should let you know on Instagram, bunch of scammers. I only have one Instagram account. It is in the link description below. Anything else is not me. So please be aware of that. I also don't have any like secret trading fund or anything like that. And Bybit, the good old Bybit shill, as always, they have their $3,000 or $4,000 deposit bonus. There is a link in the description below. Please understand, just jumping on Bybit without any sort of a realistic trading strategy is very, 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 very likely to lead towards long-term financial rectum. Anyways, other than that, let's get into it right now. I want to start off with the short-term timeframes here, as that's going to be the focus of today. We've already got over, the opening morning ceremonies. So let's get into it right on over here. Yesterday, we did identify there was potential hidden bullish divergence on timeframes on lower-term timeframes, of which we did play out the short-term move up to the 0.5 right here. Actually, I guess actually we did kind of scratch it right there. But ultimately, the daily was the big one for looking for potentially continuation to the low $40,000 region. That was not confirmed. Bitcoin did not initiate that closure above the relevant level, which was yesterday, specifically about 38,800. So as long as Bitcoin's trading below there, essentially the 382 within this case right here on the more short-term fib, I do look at this as pressure down, if you will. Several other things do kind of make me lean towards another test of the downside today, but unlikely a full-on breakdown of the downside today. But ultimately, the ranges are as essentially they have been. To the downside, $38,000, even on a 4-hour closure. To the upside, about 39,150, that 0.5 right there. A resolution above the 0.5, and I would be looking for that move somewhere into the low $40,000 territory, between about 40,000 even to perhaps even as high as about 40,500. But ultimately, I do believe that the upside is actually very much capped this week. Granted any sort of like major macro reversal. So with that in mind, I do want to pull up this data over here in the funny rates for the short term. Let me go to the hourly, and we are at the highest funny rates that we've seen for the recorded data here, which gives us insight in the past almost week now. If we go over to the daily, when was the last time that we saw funny rates this high on the positive side? It's actually been a while. I guess. Yeah, I guess about a week ago as well, actually, is where we saw it about this high. In fact, this one's a little bit higher, but this is essentially longs paying shorts within the context of an overall downtrend. And I don't really have any like major reasons to be looking for this as anything other than, people getting a little bit too excited with the old leverage button right there, as usual. Now, of course, this just means that longs are marketing into their positions more than shorts are. As always, there is a one-to-one relationship, especially on, not especially on, but on those peer trading exchanges, peer-to-peer trading exchanges like your Bybits, like your, what's the new one? I don't even know. BitMEX, no, am I old now? Does that make you old if you talk about BitMEX? But you get what I'm saying. Anyways, other than that, some other downside sort of pressures in the short term here, as we do see on short-term stochastic momentum oscillators showing downside pressure on the 4 hour with any sort of a closure coming in below 38,600. Keep in mind though, things are already pretty far down here in extremes. So that is why I do suggest that, hey, while Bitcoin could very easily test around the bottom side of the range today, I probably wouldn't be looking for like the breakdown today. I think that things are a little bit too overdone right here for what it's worth. It would be very easy to get a nice little bounce up. Personally speaking, I'd love to see 40,000 to maybe even 41,000, but ultimately, I do still look at downside pressure as more likely. Anyways, other than that, we got the 6 hour over here showing downside pressure resumes as long as Bitcoin's below 38,850. The 3 hour is also going to be showing actually upside pressure above 38,350, and hourly is going to be showing what is going to be showing upside above about 38,300 as well. So when we see bifurcations like that, especially within the context of contracting volatility, which we see right here, and I expect that that's going to contract a little bit more, probably sideways, probably honestly test both sides of the short-term time frame range. In this case, that's right around here to the upside, right around here to the downside, and likely a setup for tomorrow. And if I had to call it, Bitcoin probably tests the downside of it first, but I don't feel too married to these ideas. The ideas that I really feel a lot more confident on is the higher term timeframes, of which we are 6 minutes into this video. So I'm just going to briefly go on over here. This chart has not gone away. This chart has been relevant for months now, and I believe that we're actually going to start to see it come to fruition, well, sooner rather than later, essentially. And it is this, the 5-day BBWP chart, representing volatility, again, the dispersion of returns, of course. And we have seen the 5-day BBWP get into the low teen digit percentiles. Why is that relevant? Because anytime that we have seen contraction phases into this region, the expansion phase from that has led to a pretty explosive move over the course of, on average, a little bit over a month, about a little bit over 40 days to be fair. In this case, this one has been the lowest for the longest, barring the last like July 2021. So it does imply that the resolution from this is likely going to be more extreme than what we saw on these last few ones over here, where it didn't spend that long that low. But for right now, we are getting our first sort of initial etchings of volatility expansion as we get our first close above the moving average. And we're going to have a chance on this next closure, which comes in not tomorrow night, but the night after that. CME actually does close tomorrow night, so it probably leads into that anyways, to get both a positive slope on the BBWP and the moving average with it, which is typically or traditionally where we really do start to see the acceleration of that move. As you can see in the past, once it actually gets that first spike up, it typically, runs like 20 to 30 percentile in one bar. So ultimately, I do think that we're looking at this this compression phase ending, very, very soon here. I think that honestly, we've probably already seen it end and its continuation here. Anyways, the reason why I call this one out is multiple reasons, actually. One of them being the expansion phase from the past 4 or actually 5, 6 iterations, actually. In some cases a little bit more, some cases a little bit less, but on average about 45% move to the upside or the downside. In this case, you can see, the last few ones have actually been really, 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 really intense. And if we were to sort of, entertain the potential price from an expansion from that, again, with a time frame, a little bit over 40 days from basically now, so probably looking somewhere around early June, if you will. Probably going to be looking at Bitcoin if it resolves to the upside, which I think is rather unlikely, but if it were to, and we'll offer up validation conditions for that, looking probably somewhere around basically $60,000, technically speaking about 59.4 right now, and to the downside about 24 to 25,000 bucks in this case as well. The reason why I do favor the downside, amongst other things, is, well, one, trend, as that typically does matter the most, but within the context of this particular setup, we have been using the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator to get the correct direction of that volatility expansion. And it actually has been directly correct for the last 6 iterations that we have on the board right here. Of course, we can go back further than that, and yeah, it actually works pretty damn well there too. But in this case, I think it's just easier to see all in the same pane here. Anyways, as long as the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator is to the downside, which right now it is, probabilities do align with more downside continuation. The real question to myself is, because it does seem like the market is a little bit more on the bear side as far as sentiment goes, does Bitcoin actually hit that full-on target at around the presumed implied target about $25,000 or so? In these cases, we typically get one of two things when people are generally thinking the same thing. It either gets front ran, so that probably puts in a low, maybe in low 30s or upper 20s, or it gets absolutely nuked, which means fucking forget it for a while and probably gets brought back down below 20. I think that that's rather unlikely. Personally speaking, I do think that at this point in the maturity of this market, there's too many big money managers that are just going to do some value buying if things were to especially go below $30,000. So anyways, with that in mind, the validation condition for actually flipping this baby back onto the upside, and it's boo laws to the moon yet again, I guess, or at least the probabilities would be in the boo laws' favor. Although, we'd have to be looking at volatility over here to actually expand, which right now it is, would be 44,250. So that is to say, as long as Bitcoin is below 44,250, pressure remains to the downside and probabilities remain to the downside as far as I'm concerned. That means that Bitcoin could I wouldn't say very easily, but Bitcoin could theoretically rally up north of $40,000. I think it's possible. I think it's possible for Bitcoin to rally. I actually do think that $40,000 would be pretty easy, especially on like a FOMC violent day. But even 41.5 would be okay as well. Where the picture really starts to turn around, at least for myself, probably should just wait for 44. But yeah, $44,000. I'll just put it right there. Until then, I think the hopium for the boo laws long term is probably something like this, where we're going to get our little LARP lines over here, and let me actually raise or get rid of that. And, I think the hopium is that, you get a move down, bless you, sir, and then reaccumulate and then give another try to the upside. Possible? Yes. That would not theoretically go with the historical results of these sort of volatility and momentum indicators have been suggesting. So, fair enough. Unlikely to put it in other words. Obviously, we can bring up the monthly chart as well, but I'll just point you towards the what's it called, the long-term analysis playlist that I uploaded on Saturday and Sunday. Both of them are still very much relevant for people who are looking at long-term analysis. In this case right here, short-term timeframes, I do expect rain bound today. Probably going to be a boring day, if you will. Well, assuming that, you're looking for the big bad breakout. If you're range trading, probably going to be a nice little day. And with that in mind, I think that's probably a good place to leave this one off. I feel like I might be missing something over here. No, I think we got just about everything. Perhaps CME is going to be showing some a little bit different over here. No, not really. I would, however, say there is one other thing that does make me think that, or if this were to happen, I'd be expecting a bounce north of $40,000 first before any sort of potential push to the downside. It'd be this. The daily will have a potential to put in regular bullish divergence, 3 drives actually, if and only if you see a daily closure specifically above about $39,000, or essentially, what essentially was about the high of yesterday. If you see something like that, very likely Bitcoin will put in a rally somewhere around 40,000, a little bit above 40,000 first, perhaps even as high as 41,500. But ultimately, I do look at that as likely a rejection area, to be fair. Again, I have no real reason to flip around on Bitcoin as far as the macro goes until it's at minimum above about $44,000, I would say a minimum above about $41,500. That would be a good first sign, but full on macro bear trap with targets up, close to 60,000, probably even beyond over time, would be above 44 and change right there. Until then, risk still remains lower, and ranges still are as they have been, with about 37 as a base right here to 37.5. Bitcoin does close below there, looking for next move down somewhere around 34 to 35. Anyways, with that said, I want to wish you well. Take care and see you hopefully soon.